Hello, my name is Gus Mancuso representing Team Rapids, and to my immediate left is
Jay Bemke. Good morning.
We are here in partnership with WRCM to present to you some information about Team Rapids and an event that was held on June 25th. On June 25th, we held Team Rapids Kickoff, which was an introduction to our community about Team Rapids, as well as an introduction to our new head football coach, Mike Krenz, and also honoring Tony Biolo. In these videos, you will see the purpose of Team Rapids. You will also hear 3 inspirational speeches from 3 distinguished alumni that were present that night, as well as other pertinent information about both Tony and also our new head football coach, Mike Krenz. Team Rapids is an endowment that was established in 2023, and Jay is going to explain a bit about it before you see the videos.
So in 2023, we were gifted a pretty generous amount of money. Initially, it was targeted for football, but traveling throughout the community a little bit, we found the needs are greater. Now our goal is to break down some barriers for kids that want to participate in sports, extracurriculars that are not funded through the school district, just to get kids involved.
And you'll notice in this presentation that our gifts or grants thus far have been purely for non-funded clubs in our community, as well as students who are marginalized and on the edge, trying to get into sports. For example, our flag football program, we have a partnership with the city as well. So in closing, we'd like to also ask you to consider supporting Team Rapids. There are ways for you to donate, and both in your person, time, and effort, and also your treasures. So please follow along on this presentation, and you will see how you can participate and financially help us. Thank you so much for your continued and hopefully future support.
A new era's arrived for athletics down in Wisconsin Rapids. The Team Rapids Fun held an event this evening at the Ridges Banquet Facility, honoring the past but yet celebrating the future. A few prominent alumni were keynote speakers at the event that was open to the public, sharing information on how this endowment hopes to impact the community, along with raising awareness for the importance of athletics in our youth. The Team Rapids Fund will not only support the football program, but all athletic programs and even some non-funded clubs within the Rapids School District.
Sports brings great value to the community, but also you're building young men and young women who are going to be, talk about characteristics. Those are characteristics that they're going to transfer into their life, into their workforce, into their families. Sports has changed my life. I played 3 sports in high school. And, those are some of the best times of my life. And we want to make sure here in the community that we make sure we keep that alive for generations to come.
So we want to make sure that if a kid can't get to practice because both parents are working and they don't have the time or a vehicle to drive them back and forth, we can pick them up and we can do that. We want to try to minimize that barrier.
As you get older, there's nothing like high school football. You got 4 years of this, and then when you graduate, there's not going to be anything that really comes close to this. Sure, guys will go on and play college football, stuff like that, but as far as Friday Night Lights and those relationships in the community, there's nothing like high school football.
For more information on the endowment and how they hope to give directly back to our youth in our area, you can head over to the teamrapidsfund.com. We'll be right back.
Pieces that I think you're really going to enjoy. However, first of all, I'd like to ask everyone in this room here a question. And I'd like you to ponder, think about it, and then we'll see what some of the answers are. I don't know what the answers are going to be. You're going to tell me. I'd like you to reflect for a moment on your high school experience and the activities that you participated in. Could be in the classroom, out of the classroom, and think about what gave you the most joy or what you remember the most? If you're a coach, maybe put it today's terms as well. Could be in the classroom or out of the classroom. Now, if I were to ask you that, chances are I'm thinking that the majority of you would have an answer that surrounds itself around an extracurricular. Raise your hand if that's true. Now, being a former principal, I'm probably committing heresy when I say that academics are in the classroom and athletics and clubs and activities are outside the classroom. But it's always interesting to me when I ask this question, where our memories are mostly made and what we remember. And as I looked around the room today, seeing people reconnect with each other, I'm guessing it wasn't around your best English score or if you passed your AP test. And some of us never took advanced classes, so we wouldn't have anything to talk about. Denny, I'm not including you. So I just wanted to ask you that because when we talk about Team Rapids here for just a few minutes, it's really a part of what the mission of Team Rapids is all about. My name is Gus Mancuso. I'm one of the trustee members of Team Rapids, and there are two others. Jay Bemke is there, and Luke is there, and Andy Stevens is there as well. So those are the trustees for Team Rapids. If you can, just address your attention to the far screen. I know that it might be hard for some of you to look for and see. If you could just hit the next one, Val, please, thank you. So tonight we're going to welcome, which we've already been doing. We're going to talk about Team Rapids, what it's all about. Chris Veit is going to introduce Tony Biolo, and then Tony's going to talk or introduce Mike Krenz. And then we are going to have three guest speakers from the three teams that were in the state finals, 80, 2005, and 2011. And they had a message surrounding their experiences in the high school as well. Then at the end, we're going to have Luke close it about Team Rapids, a short follow-up and summary. And then we have these free, obviously, raffle prizes that we're going to give away for you signing in, and we hope everybody did sign in. So let's get going. Val, if you could just turn the next slide. Our story and how we got started and the why. Team Rapids was born out of an endowment given by former football players. And it happened when these players had stayed connected to the program and had realized that in our community, things had been changing. As we all know, things have really changed over the last 15 to 20 years. We once were the paper capital of the world, literally the paper capital of the world, with two world headquarters in Wisconsin Rapids in the paper industry. Now we have very little of that activity going on. That has had a tremendous impact not only on this community, but any community that's transitioning from that kind of robust economy. And what has happened is obviously it has put a lot of strain, a lot of pressure on people who want to participate in sports and activities. Let me give you just a few figures here that have been out there publicly. When I was high school principal, I just talked to Ron tonight, and he verified this number, so I'm not talking out at school. We were less than 20%, anywhere between 50 and 18% for a lot of you that were there when I was there at Lincoln High School. Now that means that kids were on free lunch, or reduced lunch based on based on their parents' income, and that range was between $40,000 and $57,000. If you were over 57 as a combined family income, you weren't qualifying. Today, the figure is 50% of the kids at Lincoln High School are on free and reduced lunch. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you extend it out a little bit, it means that people are under more stress to join clubs and activities because most of the time they are pressured to do fundraising. Lincoln High School has over 50 clubs. The vast majority of them have absolutely no money to provide for any kind of activities. They go out and fundraise, or they make the kids, or the kids have to pay. So those are the kinds of things that happen. Football, for example, helmets cost $400 for a helmet, $250 for shoulder pads. All of that costs money, and our parents and families raise $40,000 to $60,000 a year just to survive in the football program. And that's not unique to football. That's every one of the sports at Lincoln High School, the 23 sports, they're raising money to support. So why was it started? It was started because those people understood what was happening. So the next slide will show you the mission statement that we've come up with: to ensure each student in Wisconsin Rapids community has the opportunity to participate in the sport, club, or extracurricular activity, regardless of financial limitations. That's our mission, and obviously that's a huge mission, but it's a mission that we try to strive for every day. Next slide, please, Val. Now, what had happened was, when we were blessed with this endowment, we did an awful lot of research. The trustees interviewed administrators, we interviewed United Way people, we interviewed the local library people, and we were Boys and Girls Club, and we were trying to find what are the needs. And we've expanded the amount of money that we are offering in grants to the football program, 612. Half of that, what we have, will be designated, generally speaking, in any given year for that. Then we're also focusing on non-funded clubs and other teams that are in the need of money. And as we raise more money, we're going to be able to help more teams. And then the last thing that we're really excited about is how can we increase participation in athletics. Jay has a great saying about the fact, and our son comes to town as well. Our sons come to town, and they are just blown away by our facilities. They're beautiful. The quadplex, the field house, the wrestling area, the football field. Our goal is to put kids in those seats, in those programs, because it doesn't matter if you have the most beautiful facilities if kids aren't playing. So what we're really working hard at is trying to educate parents at the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade level about the value of athletics. I wouldn't have to say anything to anybody in this room about the value of athletics. It would be a different conversation with a single mother with 2 kids, with not a family-sustaining job. The last thing that she's thinking about is getting her son or daughter in athletics. That's just reality. That really wasn't our challenge as parents, because most of us were blessed to come through and have the opportunity to send our kids wherever they wanted to go. So those are the kinds of things that we're trying to do, as well as we raise more money that support other groups and other areas of the community. So what have we done in the last 6 months to a year? Yeah. Val, please. We've awarded several grants, and it's just going to keep coming, hopefully, as our endowment grows. We had a partnership with the Boys and Girls Clubs this year. They were able to run vans for us. We had 2 kids that would have never been out for football, except the fact that for the 3 weeks before school started, we ran a van every single day and picked those kids up. Now you might say, what, 2 kids? 2 kids is a start. And those kids are out for football now, and eventually we're hoping, and they've been working in the weight room, they're excited, they're tied in, and we hope that they're ultimately going to be starters for us. We also gave a grant to the LHS Key Club. because they've been doing some work with us on our media programs. We also donated a grant to the Rudolph baseball program for, I guess they're doing some capital improvements out there, so we gave a grant to them. We also have been a big proponent of the YMCA flag football program that's coming back. For those of us that are my age, or maybe a little bit lower, you'll recall we used to have Witterfield loaded. I see a lot of heads nodding. Some of you played there as well, so we want to bring that program back, the flag football program, so we made a grant to them as well. We are also going to be obviously connecting again, and we've done this in the past years. We're going to be mentoring, we're going to be bringing our football players over there and helping those little kids get involved, and obviously they will be mentors and role models for those kids that are coming up through the program. And then we also did a grant for for Rapids TV. Now, one thing that Jay's working on is he is in discussions with the local cab company. Rapids TV has kids in that program that if I looked at all of them, I know for a fact none of them were out for football, because those aren't the kind of kids that are in that kind of a class. And I see Denny and Dan looking at me kind of nodding, and yet they are trying to get connected to the schoolhouse. But yet at the same time, if it's 9:30 at night, they can't get home because their parents won't come or they can't get a ride home. So we're working on a voucher program where the kid can have a voucher. He can call the cab company, use the voucher, and get home. So that means Brian Hudlin doesn't have to hear the fact that, I'd like to, Mr. Hudlin, but I don't have a ride. I don't have a ride home at 9:30 at night after a basketball game. So those are the kinds of things that we're trying to do with our clubs and other activities besides just the football area. Val, next one, please. These are just some slides about activity that we did. We went over to the Boys and Girls Club 2 weeks ago and met with the kids that were coming through and the parents, and we gave them brochures about the value of athletics. Next up, please. And then what we're doing is, if you look on the WIU website, we took the information. They have an article on there that says a case for high school athletics. Well, if you go on that, and again, just an observation, it's 6 pages long, it's single spaced, and I didn't even want to read it. So what we did is we broke it down into bullet points so people can read it and connect with it. And it's athletics, clubs, music, and theater. Next bell, please. So hopefully your takeaways tonight about this is that the football program needs to ease the pressure to fundraise on the parents, the families. Clubs and other activities need help. Community changes have affected our families and children. The pillars of Team Rapids, it includes overcoming barriers to participation, and we need your help. So that's a quick overview. It was only 14 minutes, so I hope I didn't bore too many of you in that. So that's Team Rapids. And I have to tell you something.
That's a long graduation.
We're not going away.
Graduation ceremony.
We're not going away. We're going to be back. So it's great to see this big crowd. You also came for a couple of other things. As I mentioned to you, we wanted to introduce and honor 2 coaches today. We want to honor Tony Biolo. And so at this time, it's my pleasure to, where do you go? Do you leave? Oh, no, there he is. Chris Fight, Athletic Director.
Thanks, Gus. And again, a great appreciation to Team Rapids for what they're doing in our community. It's obviously going to be very helpful, and can't wait to see what happens as a result. At this time, I'm going to take a moment to recognize and celebrate the remarkable chapter in the history of Wisconsin Rapids Lincoln football. It is truly the end of an era. After 22 seasons as head coach and 35 years total on the sidelines, Coach Toydol is stepping down as the leader of the Red Raiders. Coach Biolo's career began as assistant for 11 years before taking over the head coach in 2003. Over the past 2 decades, Coach Bielo has become the art of our football program, leading his teams to over 100 wins, 4 conference championships, in 2011, 2017, 21 and 22, and 2 state appearances in 2005 and 2011. Beyond the field, Coach Biolo has served as our state football community with equal passion. Since 2003, he has been a dedicated member of the Wisconsin Football Coaches Association, twice elected as the president. In 2021, he was rightfully honored and inducted to the WFCA Hall of Fame. Coach Biolo's legacy isn't just measured in wins and banners. It's in the lives that he has shaped and the character he has molded. And with pride, he's instilled in the program and into our community. Please join me in thanking and honoring Coach Tony Biolo for his extraordinary leadership, dedication, and impact. Coach Biolo will always be a leader.
Oh, good thing. Thank you. All right, Richard. Good evening to everybody. Thanks for coming out to this Team Rapids event and for the incredible support that you've shown, not just tonight, but throughout all the years. This community means the world to me. You just heard a lot about the community from Gus and how it's changed. A special thank you to Tom Bergeson, Vince Biegel, and Mark Krommenacker for coming back tonight. Your words and your presence here. All the alumni and everybody who's back. The friendships and relationships and the deep sense of community, that's why we're here. That's why my wife and I chose to stay in Wisconsin Rapids to live, work, and raise our family. The schools, the athletics, it's the people that make this place second to none. Simply put, this is a great place to be. I'd like to begin with a lot of thank yous. I first came to Rapids in 1991 as a college student from UWSP, making the drive over to coach sophomore football. Ken Biegel gave me that chance, and I'll always be grateful for it. That same year, John Russell and I began what became a lifelong coaching journey together. We were fortunate to learn from some of the best coaches around. I stayed at Danny Nelson's house that fall, in his unfinished basement, which is now finished. And thank you most to Jana for letting this broke college kid crash there. Great teams and great programs don't just happen. They're built through the collaboration, trust, and the relentless effort of many. And that's what makes Wisconsin Rapids special. That's why you're all here. Rapids pride. To the athletes who come through LHS football program, your time, talent, toughness, and loyalty have meant the world. Thank you for giving it your all. To the parents, you've supported us through team dinners, fundraising, concessions, booster club work, and countless sacrifices. Your dedication fuels the engine. Thank you. To the assistant coaches, no program succeeds without great assistants, and Rapids has had many. Each of you has made me a better coach, and more importantly, we are better friends. To the head coaches across our programs, in Rapids, head coaches actually get along. Pat McDonald, Dan Witter, and I had an unbelievable relationship. We leaned on each other, learned from each other, and supported each other. That's rare, and it made us better. To the administration, from superintendents to principals and athletic directors, our leadership has always supported students and athletics with full heart. They've allowed coaches to coach and fostered the kind of relationships that last a lifetime. A special thanks to Gus Mancuso, who when I first got here was an assistant coach and assistant principal. Then as principal, he hired me to teach, and later as the head football coach. We were lucky enough to repay that faith with a trip to state just 3 years later. To my family, football is in our blood. My grandpa coached football in Green Bay. My dad coached in Rhinelander. Fall has always meant football. To my wife and children, thank you for letting me coach football and be such a big part of having it be such a big part of our lives. To my daughter Haley, our football manager for 2003 to 2014. Watching her become a teacher, a wife, and now a mother of 3 beautiful daughters, Gianna, Beretta, and Mala, has been a blessing. I'm so proud of you and Max. To my son Drake, from ball boy to player to proud Rapids alum, even though you're coaching in Rhinelander, you'll always be Rapids. Watching you become a teacher, coach, and husband, and soon a father, makes me proud beyond words. Elizabeth, You will be his strength, just like his mom has been mine. And to my wife, Tracy, you are the real head coach in all of this. From our dating to engagement to 32 years of marriage, you've allowed me the space and strength to do what I love. You've supported me through wins and losses, held our family together, and made sure our kids saw their dad even when I wasn't around. Without you, none of this would be possible. Our family, our life, this career, all began with you. Rapids football, Team Rapids, has always been about relationships. It's about making memories, working hard, leaning on one another, and showing up. Whether it's been 5 months or 5 years since you last spoke, that's what binds us. And you see the relationships in the room tonight. We build champions in life through courage, humility, attitude, mental toughness, pride, integrity, ownership, never quit, and service. That's the mission. That's the legacy. That's what we strive to pass on. Team Rapids is here to ensure no student ever has to miss out because of financial barriers or transportation issues. Thanks to leaders like Gus Mancuso and Jay Bemke, we are giving back and building forward. And now Rapids football is in great hands with Coach Mike Krenz. I don't think I've ever seen him wearing anything without a WR on it since he took over. Congratulations, Coach Krenz. Keep the Rapids pride alive and keep making this place the place to be. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Let's keep building champions. Let's keep building each other. Go Rapids.
All right, one more round of applause for Coach Biolo. Obviously, great character, great individual, great coach. Now, at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce the newest leader of the Wisconsin Rapids Lycan football program, someone who brings not only a wealth of experience, but a deep passion for building strong teams and even stronger young people. Coach Mike Krenz joins us after 20 years of coaching experience, both the high school and collegiate level. His journey has included 10 years at Wausau West, 9 years at Stevens Point High School, most recently 2 years at the University of Wisconsin, Stevens Point. All right. It's hard to get it out. His experience has shown a strong leadership during the pivotal times. Beyond the field, Coach Krenz brings a unique level of care, patience, mentorship to his students and student athletes. Please join me in welcoming Mike Krenz to the Red Raider family. Cool.
I only have one page, so I'll try to keep it as short as I can here. Thank you, Mr. Pike. First and foremost, I want to say how incredibly honored and excited I am to be named the head football coach here in Wisconsin Rapids. It's not just any job. It's a privilege to step into a role that carries so much history, pride, and tradition. This program has long been a cornerstone of this school, of this community, and of the Wisconsin Valley Conference. The storied Friday Night Lights, the packed stands at the Southwood County Stadium, and the teams that played here with real heart, grit, determination, and toughness are what make this place, Wisconsin Rapids, so special. I've always had an admiration of that tradition that's been built here over the years by Coach Biolo, his staff, and the community and the school. Excuse me. Also by the players who gave it their all, both on and off the field. I also want to take a moment to offer my sincere congratulations to Coach Biolo on his Hall of Fame career. The impact he's made in this program, on his players, and on this community is nothing short of legendary. I'm stepping into some very big shoes, and I do so with great respect for everything that he has accomplished. Lastly, to the players, parents, and the community, I'm here to work, to build, and to win. But more importantly, to help these young men grow into the best versions of themselves. I can't wait to get to August, and I look forward to helping write the next great chapter of Red Raider football together. Thank you, and go Red Raiders.
Thank you, Chris, Tony, and Mike. We are now going to introduce the first of our three guest speakers tonight. Mark Krommenacker is our first speaker, and Mark is a 2005 graduate of Lincoln High School, 2006 graduate of Lincoln High School who played on the 2005 team. He has a very unique story. The story is, and it starts with 2 weeks before his senior year, when he was at a camp right outside our back floor fields, and he was anticipating a great senior year with what ended up to be a great class of football players as they went to state and the state finals. 2 weeks before that, his entire senior year ended athletically because he blew out his ACL. That's the beginning of the story. Let's welcome Mark and let him finish it. Thank you.
Set up like a movie. Hopefully the climax isn't too bad here, but all right, I just want to talk about just the importance of football, which is probably a good crowd to talk about that. Thinking about memories, lessons, relationships that are created with football, and then the impact that a football coach can have. Obviously, now I'll get to my story here, but I've had this will be my 11th year as a head football coach. I'm at Little Chute High School now, so just talk about how Coach Biolo has impacted me and how football coaches can make a huge impact. I think probably important to start though with, as he mentioned, the families and the wives and how much that they do for a team. I think of my wife Brianne, who's sitting here with the kids here, and the early mornings where I'm basically gone before they wake up because I'm going to workouts, or the late nights where I'm home and they're already in bed and everything's done, and sometimes I'm not seeing them and she's doing all the work, whether she's sitting in the crowd and having to listen to parents who don't necessarily understand that midline and inside beer triple are the best plays in football, and they don't actually understand that. It's pretty impressive what she puts up with, I guess, to allow me to do this. Think about Tracy, too, over the years. I think an underrated fact of the graphics and stuff that Coach Biolo had throughout the years. I think he was ahead of his time in the early 2000s with the graphics, the posters, all the Rapids football stuff that we had around, and I think she credit to her for that. I remember at the All-Star game coaching with him, and she had this fancy paper that he had some stuff printed on it. I think it was like genetically engineered waterproof paper. It was amazing, and I was just amazed that she hooked me up with that and got me some of that paper for my first year at Appleton East. I definitely couldn't afford it, but she made it happen. I appreciate that. We still have that paper, by the way. Kids still remember that. It doesn't disintegrate, so that's probably why as well. But yeah, my on-the-field story obviously is going to be different than the guys coming up. Was not a starter, and unfortunately didn't get the chance to be on the field. But I think my story kind of led me to where I am today, and hopefully it has helped some other guys that I've coached, and I could bring something to the table. I didn't end up playing for the Packers or get drafted, although that was the original goal, but it didn't. Some lines got twisted there at some point. Didn't happen. But when I did tear my ACL after finally committing for 2 years of putting in the work, because I'm not saying I was the best athlete, but I finally committed and put in the work, and when that did happen, it was definitely the worst event of my life, and my response at the moment definitely wasn't the best. It was kind of moping around, depression, and feeling sorry for myself, and it wasn't great, but eventually came around and was able to stay with the team, and I appreciate Coach kind of allowing me to do some different things with the team and be with my brothers. The hardest part of it was missing out on some of those opportunities to be with the team, to be just together, whether it's at practice or what it is. But it led me to coaching for sure, because I wasn't necessarily the best leader back in the day, or wasn't the vocal leader, or didn't do all those things. But it definitely led me to say, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to make an impact somehow. I want to coach and make some things happen at wherever I can be. And so actually started with Coach Fight giving me a chance to coach some 8th grade football. Actually, when Vince was in 8th grade with some boys, they had a pretty good squad back then, believe it or not, in 8th grade. Actually, the Pacelli Middle School team, I remember at halftime, they just called the game just too rough of tackling. So they called the game at halftime. But seeing those guys come up was awesome. And then Coach Biolo giving me a chance. I, like him, was driving from UWSP and helping coach with JV, coaching receivers, and was coaching when Vince and the boys were back at state. And so that was an amazing opportunity for me. But another leadership example, too. Football comes leadership, And I appreciate that Coach Biolo was building more leaders, not just, leadership is building leaders. It's not creating followers or bossing people around or demanding. It's creating more leaders that are branching out. And I appreciate that about him. And now I'm trying to do that same thing. For example, at Little Chute, I got a guy that I coached my first 2 years at Appleton East, and now he's coaching with us, Spencer. He's doing an amazing job, and it's awesome to have him with us and see the impact he's having with the kids, and the kids are loving it, and he's all in. And so just creating more leaders is kind of part of the game as a football coach, I think. But so my event, you hit that slide. I got a couple pictures. Keep me on pace here. So that event to tear my ACL kind of came first full circle when I got to Rib Lake, my first head coaching job. And I met a guy named Tim Kite that was coming to Rib Lake, a town of like under 500 people. I think he was coming because the St. Croix factory is up there in Park Falls, so that's why he made the trip up there. But he worked at Ohio State football. He was there when they won the national championship with their third-string quarterback, Cardell Jones, and he worked with Urban Meyer, and he instilled a system of behavior, I guess, or behavior skills. It was E plus R equals O, and that poster, again, was printed and created by Tracy, I believe, for an all-star game. But event plus response equals outcome. So obviously we can't control a ton of events in our lives. We can't control any events in our lives. We don't ultimately control the outcome. If we did, we'd win every single football game. We obviously can't control that. But we could just make an impact on it and choose the best possible response. According to Tim Kite, you can either choose a discipline-driven response or a default. So it's either intentional, skillful, on purpose, or it's kind of default, autopilot, impulsive, resistant. And I don't think we perfect these. I definitely don't perfect these. For example, my 3-year-old Angel over there, sometimes in Walmart, she wants something and maybe just won't go out the door. And sometimes I maybe give in or snap at times. But just trying to get reps and reps and reps at having a discipline-driven response and trying to be the best version of yourself and just trying to kind of win each moment. There's plenty of tougher events than tearing an ACL as well. And one thing that Tim Kite would say that I really liked was the tougher the event, the more important the response. I think of one of our teammates back in the day, Josh Uttermark, who battled leukemia for 7 years, and that's a much tougher event than I was dealing with. But he's an example of discipline, man. He was getting after it. He was joining our 12 days of Christmas workout at Appleton East, even though he was battling all that. So there's much tougher events than what I dealt with. But having him as an example of relationship. So at his funeral, it was like we got all the guys back together from those years, and it's like we didn't lose any time. We're talking about the memories. We're still talking about quotes that Coach Nelson would say during film time. We're still saying these same things that you wouldn't think was something that people would remember, but it turned out to be a core memory that guys, they remembered forever. And speaking of memories, I think that's what a football coach does too, is create these memories that guys talk about. I think Coach Biolo was good at this too. Think about, I was reading a book called The Power of Moments. That's why I have that up there. But it said, beware the soul-sucking force of reasonableness. So sometimes you got to do some unreasonable things to create these memories. I think of going to Iron River, driving 3 hours and staying nights in a stuffy gym. That's kind of unreasonable, and it doesn't really make sense to do that. But those are the things that people talk about. I think last year we went on a camping trip. I took 50 high school guys on a camping trip, and that was kind of unreasonable because I didn't get a lot of sleep, and I'm kind of worried about what's going on. And it probably made it worse that an hour after we showed up, there's 3 vans of high school girls from a church camp that showed up just right across the way. So again, no sleep was had, kind of unreasonable, but those guys are talking about it. That's stuff that they're talking about still to this day, and they appreciate that. So I think in closing, I think Coach Krenz and I are kind of in the same boat. I'm at a new spot right now at Little Chute after 7 years at Appleton East, and it's kind of the takeoff spot. And I saw a quote that I really liked that I told to the guys the other day. It made me steal it. I stole it from somebody else, but it said, if you are inches off on the landing, it's no big deal. But if you're inches off on takeoff, you missed the moon by 1,000,000 miles. So just thinking about setting the standard on day one, right? It's like we're coming into solid programs with a good foundation, a good tradition. There doesn't necessarily need to be a complete overhaul or rebuild, but what small things can we make sure we instill so that we're on track? Because if we let those small things slip, guys shows up late, guys driving way too fast in the parking lot. Just happened to me the other day. If we let that stuff slip, then we end up way off the moon. And I'm not saying, I know Coach the same way. We're not talking about winning a state championship today. We're just talking about winning these events, discipline in every moment that happens, just trying to win each moment. So thank you to Rapids football. Thank you to Coach Biolo. And good luck to Coach Krenz and the boys. And thank you.
A's. Hey, you guys.
So, as you know already, our next speaker is Vince Biegel. His resume is familiar to many of us. He's a 2012 graduate of Lincoln High School, has 9 earned letters in sports. He was a United States Army All-American, the 2011 Wisconsin Gatorade Player of the Year. Played football at the University of Wisconsin-Madison for 2012, 2016. 3-time All-Big Ten player, 2-year captain. Selected the first pick of the 4th round of the Green Bay Packers in 17. Played 6 years in the NFL for the Packers, the Saints, the Dolphins, and the Ravens. He's retired now from football, married to his wife, Sarah, where they share 2 daughters together, Willow and Meadow. Resides in Nashville, Tennessee, where he does real estate development and works for a startup company. And I have many, many memories of the Biegel family. I obviously had an opportunity to coach with Ken for 13 years. And also I coached a bit Rocky as well. And seeing Rocky grow up and have a family, all of a sudden there was Vince Biegel running down the halls of Lincoln High School as a 6th grader. And he was as assertive and aggressive and polite as he is today. So it's a real pleasure to see him come back and give to Lincoln High School and our community tonight. He made a special trip up here. I had many conversations with him since March. And I think you're going to find that he's very excited to have an opportunity to talk to you. So, Vince, come on up.
Man, it's a great honor to be with you all guys tonight. No matter where life took me and football took me, whether it was in Madison or Green Bay, Miami, I always remember my roots, and I always remembered being here in Rapids and being here in high school. And I really want to take this time to appreciate you, Tony, for 22 years of Wisconsin Rapids football, and how much effort and how much sacrifice that goes into that, and how much of an impact you made on me, Coach. You made on the thousands of players' lives. The impact you made on Lincoln High School, and the impact you made on this community, Coach. I also, being in the game of football, I know the sacrifice and the effort it takes to be great, and the effort it takes. And I just want to take this time to also appreciate you, Tracy. When Tony's gone away from in camps, you holding down the fort, as I like to say, with Drake and Haley. You're truly the unsung hero and deserve a round of applause tonight. And as I was thinking of a story in high school that would go with Tony, a story that I think really shows who Tony is every single year in high school, we would go up to Iron River. And I don't know who the hell, Coach, was that you who picked out Iron River? Who decided Iron River? Denny Nelson. Okay, Denny Nelson. I don't know if so Iron River's in the UP in the middle of nowhere, okay? There's not a whole lot going up in the UP up there. But we would have this camp in Iron River every single summer. And we'd bring up probably around 40 guys, Coach, about give or take, right? And we would have about 12 high school teams up there, and we would do 7-on-7 and do football drills. And it was a good time up there. Well, again, this is the dead of the summer, middle of nowhere. So there's not a whole lot of places to stay at in Iron River. Well, we would stay at the high school there on campus,
in the gym. Not just the gym, but we would say the upper gym. And again, this is the middle of summer, you guys, with 40 high school boys, and I can't even imagine how bad that smelled up there, Coach. And guess, outdoor sleeping, guess who was right in the middle of those 40 boys? It was Tony Biolo. Tony Biolo was right in the middle of those 40 boys, dead of summer, when a lot of teachers are having their time in the summer, taking their time. Tony was up there in Iron River with 40 boys sweating in the gym, upper gym. And at that time, Coach, I didn't know that, but I at the time I realized, but that was special. It was special. And the word to me, when I think of Tony Biolo, I think of servant. I think of a guy who coached for 22 years at a place, a thankless job. A high school football is a thankless job. A thankless job. But the impact, Coach, you made on the thousands of lives, Coach, I want to say it was worth it. And thank you, Tracy, too. Appreciate you guys more than you know. And looking towards the future, I want to say, Mike, it's a great honor to welcome you to Lincoln High School. And the biggest thing that I've taken away from football is the impact that you're be able to make. And my grandfather was Ken Biegel. He coached at Lincoln High School for 23 seasons. 23 seasons, so just under Tony. He's still got just over Tony. And what stood out to me about my grandpa Biegel was, no matter where we went, whether that was here out to dinner or we were driving around town, all of his former players were sobbing him. And I didn't know what their record was in high school, but every single player approached him and acted like they won a Super Bowl. And to me, what that said to me was the impact that my grandpa made on all the thousands of lives that he did. And I want to welcome you to Lincoln High School. Mike, you have my support. You have this community support. You have every single person in this room support. And we wish you nothing but the best. And I'm again beyond thankful to be here tonight, to be able to talk with you guys tonight. I love Rapids. The game of football has meant a lot to me. And you know, the biggest takeaway of the game of football is, and why I think it's so important that we continue athletics here at Lincoln High School is those tangible things that carry on the rest of your life. Grit, determination, overcoming adversity. I had an NFL career that was anything but smooth. I got cut, released, traded, tore 2 Achilles, had 7 surgeries. And I wouldn't trade any of it for the world. Why? Because it taught me grit. And it taught me that when I get punched in the mouth, I don't care and keep fighting. And I think that's what's so special about the game of football is you get punched in the mouth a lot. Sometimes physically, sometimes not. And I don't care. I just kept getting up and fighting. And those are tangibles that are hard to replicate. And the game of football is a special game. And Tony, you represented the game well here at this for 22 years. Coach, I love you more than you know. And thank you guys all for tonight. I appreciate y'all.
I had to introduce you guys. Sit down, sit right here. Sit down right here. Just go, see. We'll do a couple of Raider reminders.
Thank you, Vince. Very inspiring words. And thank you again for making the trip up. Appreciate that. And yes, you betcha. Our last speaker tonight is Tom Bergeson, 1981 graduate of LHS. Tom, like many of the coaches here have pointed out,
Tony, Mike, and all of us here have special relationships with, I call them kids, I'm sorry, players that we've coached in the past. And, Tom is certainly one of them. After graduation, he received an appointment to the United States Air Force Academy and graduated in 1985. Tom then served 35 years in the Air Force, retiring as a Lieutenant General 3-star. He's also a fighter pilot with over 3,000 hours in F-15s, F-22s, and A-10s, and has had multiple combat deployments. He commanded at every level, including the 7th Air Force in Korea, and retired as a deputy commander of the United States Central Command. CENTCOM includes over 150,000 United States forces that conducted combat operations in Yemen, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, and now Iran. He didn't include this as well, but he's obviously a very proficient fighter pilot and has done the training. And can I share what your nickname is? If you look at the movie Maverick, that's Maverick on both ends. That's Maverick, the fighter pilot, and also Maverick, the trainer of the pilots. So we have an awful lot to be proud of with all of our speakers tonight, and certainly Tom is no exception. So, Guns, you want to talk? Thank you.
So I don't have Tom Cruise's money, just to be clear about that, even though I played him in reality. This is amazing. And, I'm a military guy, and like Coach Sally served 35 years, and I'm used to great Americans coming up and saying thank you for your service. And I promise you that never gets old. That's incredible. That's sort of generosity spirit. But I want to flip the script on that, because there's a bunch of people in here that have served and are continuing to serve, that have made a positive impact, as Fizz talked about, on literally thousands of lives. And so I would like to have all the coaches or heads of any of the extracurricular activities please stand so we can thank you for your service. Come on, you know you are. And I'd be remiss if I also could thank the spouses of all those men and women, because I know they're putting in equally the work, if not more, to make that happen. As Coach mentioned, I had a long career. I guess I wasn't good at anything else in the military, but I got the opportunity to, yes, be a fighter pilot, which I love. It's way more fun than it looks. It looks like a lot of fun. Going upside down never gets old, so I just want to put that out there. But eventually, they expect you to do more than just fly an airplane. They expect you to actually lead and command forces, to do the nation's business when called upon, and that's serious work. And I was very honored to have been a commander of a fighter squadron. That's 24 F-15s, 500 airmen, pilots, maintenance, communication, everybody else that could pick up and take the show on the road when necessary. I had the opportunity to command a fighter wing. That's 5,000 airmen plus 4,000 soldiers that were connected with us, of F-15s, F-22s, C-17, C-12s. I got to command the 7th Air Force, which is in Korea, which is now 30,000 airmen, plus I was a deputy commander of U.S. Forces Korea, so that's basically all of the Korean military that would fall under our command. And then finally, I got to command 150,000 soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines doing the nation's business in the 21 countries that were mentioned including most recently the Iran strike. And I don't wish war on anybody, but if the nation is going to call us to do something, we want to execute it with perfection. And so I was proud of the team that executed that mission the other night. But it all started literally for me back here at Wisconsin Rapids and Lincoln High School. And there's so many influences in my life that are sitting here in the crowd. I mean, Coach Farrah took me flying. For the first time, Coach, you set me on the path to have an aviation career. And I didn't know that I'd be any good at it because I was a little intimidated because you were really good. Coach Nelson, I'll talk about you. Coach Fisher, obviously Coach Mancuso. My God, what a man, what a speaker. And it's been 44 years since we've been together. But it feels like yesterday when we see each other. So thank you, coaches. I just became a grandfather about a couple months ago, and I feel I'm a lot more sappy all of a sudden. You just would have not have bothered me like a year ago. So go back to 1980, the football team. And Coach, we had some great baseball teams, so I don't want to be dismissive of great Rapids baseball. But the 1980 football team was a special group because we were undersized overachievers. Like, we were picked to finish, I think, maybe dead last in the Valley Conference. And somehow, some way, we ran the table. Like, we ran the frickin' table. And we made it to the show. We won't talk about the show. Although it still haunts me to this day. Coach had a couple of plays we should have called. But, in that group, was super connected. And we'll talk about at the end kind of the origin story for Team Rapids, but some of it comes from that collection of guys that have event together, although we feel like we never left each other in all those years. It was incredible. But during that season, we all kind of learned what white looks like. And there's a lot of characteristics of any successful person, I think, that were sort of ingrained in us for that year. I just want to talk, hopefully briefly, about some of those that translated to my successful military career. And the first one, maybe no surprise, starts with discipline. Now, this is the discipline that you might think about the coach making me do radar reminders because I got up here a little bit early, right? All the burpees and running 10 yards and burpees. Those are healthy. Those are good. They're not a lot of fun, but they're good. But more important is the concept of self-discipline. Like, you own the responsibility for making sure you're as prepared as you can be, right? You're in the gym lifting weights. You're running. You're getting yourself fit so that you're not letting your teammates down and that you're not waiting for somebody else to tell you to do that. And we had a lot of guys that year that had that self-discipline. They were not going to let their teammate down. Well, I joined the Air Force, and I'm a second lieutenant fighter pilot, and you get your very first fighter squadron. And I can tell you there is a serious expectation for self-discipline. They need you to perform, and not performing there's no excuse for. And so you take it very seriously. And so if you ever were to debriefing, you never want to be in the debriefing and be the guy they pointed out is screwing up. Because you just didn't want to be that guy. They call it the limiting factor or the LIMFAC. We like acronyms in the military. You never wanted to be the LIMFAC. And that sort of came, that's how you should look at, when you're in sports, right? You don't want to be the LIMFAC. Now, you might be sometimes. You should have the humility to admit that. But you don't want to be that. So do the work. Do the work on your own. Have that self-discipline. The next is trust. So Coach Nelson coached the line. He's put his hand out to do the 2 to 3 foot splits, the lineman, right? Right? And you're going to trust the guy next to you. Jay Bebke was going to reach left and right. He was the center to the guards. And those guys We're going to trust each other for executing the play on time and making the block they needed. And John Melbrook was going to let his ass wait through that hole that they were at grade 4. Sorry, I said ass. Sorry, kids. I'm a fighter pilot. There is some language. Sorry. So take a 3-foot split and now be on a wing of an airplane and you fly 3 feet away. But you're going 500 miles an hour. And oh, by the way, now I can see the guy, that's fine. But now it's dark. And now the weather comes in. It's terrible weather. You can't even, it's pouring rain. But you're staring at a little like glow stick on the wing. And that is where you're going to be. You're not going to be from there. Now do that for 14 hours and fly to Saudi Arabia to go execute a combat mission. And oh, by the way, there's not just 2 of you. There's 2 on the other side of the flight lead. And oh, by the way, there's 4 more F-15s behind them, 4 more behind them, and then there's 3 air refueler tankers that you're flying on the wing of that are taking this force toward combat. That's trust. It's trust in your leader because they're taking you where you're at and you're just going to fly the glow stick. And he's trusting you that you're not going to run into him. And you're going to do that. You're not going to talk on the radio. You're just going to execute. That's trust. That's the guy left and right of you executing the block. I learned team building. Team building means there's no cliques. If you're a senior and you're a cool kid, you're not putting down the juniors or the other underclassmen that are trying to make it. You're lifting them up. You're showing them what right looks like. That doesn't mean you don't have high expectations for them and you don't hold them accountable, but you're not demeaning them. And in the military, we joke a lot between airmen and sailors and soldiers, right? We have our early inter-service rivalries. But at the end of the day, when we go execute a mission, we do it as a team. And don't be divisive and break your own team down. Be a voracious team builder at all times. And we had that in our team. There was cliques, and they went away. We took that away to make each other a team. Pride. I hope everybody that's got anything to do with Team Rapids or WR feels that sense of pride. When you put that uniform on, the guys back there, you're not only representing you in that uniform, you're representing me and everybody else that ever wore that uniform and those that are going to come. So we always had a saying in the Air Force, you could never take the uniform off, you can't obviously take your uniform off. But it doesn't mean in your personal life and your professional life, you carry yourself with pride, right? And that you can feel that sense of pride. Humility. The term humility and fighter pilots are usually not used in the same sentence. It's an oxymoron, because my English teacher taught me the word oxymoron. But humility just means that you may have made mistakes. You may not know everything. In fact, you don't know everything. So have the intellectual ability to admit that you could be wronged. And what's so important is when you get into the debriefing, when you do the film study, that you have guys that are giving you the reason why they screwed up what they were supposed to be doing, so that you can get to the root cause of what the problem was. Humility would take you a long way. So I think that Wisconsin Rapids, just in general, breeds the kind of humble people that are willing to do that. And I learned so much from that. And then I got into the debriefing, the ability to take what you did and go into a debriefing and learn from it. So in the flying world, for every 1 hour of flight we would do, I'm sorry, I'm running long. I'm a grandfather, I can hold her. For every 1 hour of flying we would do 2 hours of debriefing. That's how seriously we took it. Right? That's where the learning really occurs. And I appreciated more now than I did then the film study and film sessions we did. They were invaluable for figuring out what the mistakes were of the team, but almost as importantly for figuring out, looking ahead at the next opponent, what their tendencies were. I mean, we got really good at that. And I always felt when I was playing defense on that 1980 team that I was in the huddle because I could read the keys that offense was showing me. I knew their tendency from film study that I could anticipate. And even though I'm slow, I could get there fast. And the exact same thing applied when I was flying airplanes. And finally is find a way to win. That's the strategy of it, right? Find a way to win, which means you need to know your advantages and your disadvantages. You need to understand the other team's advantages and disadvantages. And how do you take advantage of your advantage and minimize your weaknesses, right? And I don't think this is just a coach's job. I think the players need to be deeply involved in preparing the strategy. Sorry, coaches that are coming up. But I think they need to be deeply involved so they bought in. And, by the way, they probably know their weaknesses and strengths, maybe even better than you do. And so I remember when Coach Ferry, and this is going to happen again, but I was a JV quarterback, and he let me call the plays. Like, when's that going to happen again? Like, he let me call the plays because we knew what was going on in the huddle. And we could take advantage of our advantages. And so from a military perspective, like that's what we do. We look at in this case, the enemy's strengths and weaknesses, and we try to find a way to take advantage of our advantage. And a lot of people don't take advantage of their advantage. So I don't want to belabor the strike on Iran, but we took advantage of our advantage of air power, and we were able to execute that successfully, but that was a highly complex mission. It brought everybody home safely. So, I want to close with a thought from a guy named General Douglas MacArthur. It's a famous quote. And if you go to West Point, which is a rival school of the Air Force Academy, but I give them their credit. They just had their 250th anniversary in the United States Army. And you go to their football stadium. On their stadiums you walk in is this quote, which I think is applicable to tonight. On the fields of friendly strife are sown the seeds that on other days, on other fields, will bear the fruits of victory. Which means success in life starts on the soccer field, or the football field, or the tennis court, or the debate club, or the band. I was a band guy too, right? That's where it starts. And that will carry you on to success. And so now with Team Rapids, that's what we're trying to do. Team Rapids is family taking care of family. Let's lift everybody up and give them the same opportunities we might have had. Because that will create success in life, and success will beget success. So thank you. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Jay, for leading the charge. Thank you. The show wraps.
Skip.
Thank you again to all of our speakers, and I just would want to make a short comment. I think for those of us that have been around young people all of our lives coaching, we sometimes wonder if it's all worth it, and yet having a night like tonight realizes that the kids that we coach, they also give us a great deal too. They give us an awful lot of positive feeling and gratitude, because there's really not too many professions in the world where you can sit back and realize the impact that you have, and it's always after the fact. During the heat of the day or the difficult times you have with kids, I always tried to remember, and my wife and I have talked about this, just remember, that's why we call them kids, because they're learning. And tonight I think we had some excellent examples from Mark, Vince, and Tom about what can really happen if we stay the course. One thing that we want to do yet is we want to bring up Luke Weilet. He's going to just give you a couple of highlights with regard to what Team Rapids is all about. So, Luke, if you could join us, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming, first of all, here this rainy evening. And I'm not sure how I could back up that speech that was given. I guess one time I flew in a Cessna, put it in a stall, but that's about as close as I can get bit into his stories. But as we wrap up tonight, I just want to take a moment to extend our sincere thanks to, first of all, the many people who made this evening possible here this evening, to our current players, to the coaching staff, especially the Ridges who were so generous to open their doors here for everyone here tonight, and for hosting this. So if we could, just a round of applause for the Ridges. Next, to the parents and the families who donated not only their time for this event this evening, but who, as earlier alluded to by Gus, simply put in their time not only throughout the athletic event, whatever that may happen to be, whether it's a call, but it's a year-round scenario for most families. And we appreciate everything that you do. I know the kids or the players probably don't always tell you that, but it's appreciated. And certainly they'll look back on it hopefully someday and realize all the commitments that you made as families to not only come to their contests, but to get them to and from practices on a day-to-day basis. So once again, a huge thank you to all the families and the efforts that they put forth, and the commitment not only to the football program, but to all the athletes. So a round of applause there, too. Next, thank you to the Booster Club, who's already assisted greatly behind the scenes. A lot of times you don't hear about them, see them, but the effort that they put forth on a day-to-day basis to keep everything running, to keep kids going to and from sporting events, and to put foods in their mouth after long games, and the travel back and forth. We're so grateful for everything you do, and we thank all the efforts that you've put forward. So once again, special thank you to Tony, not just for the years he gave to the football team, but the years he gave to the track program, to the weightlifting program, and just being a general great leader in the school. You're unheralded, and we thank you greatly from the community and former players, obviously the coaches. You've taught many, many people a lot of life lessons. So thank you once again, Tony. Once again, thank you to the speakers here who took their time out of their very busy schedules here to be with us tonight. Each one of them was very unique and special in what they brought to the table, the stories, the memories, the lessons learned, not only through football, but through athletics in general. We thank you for inspiring us with all of your words here this evening, and appreciate all of the support that you brought to Wisconsin Rapids. Looking ahead, we're incredibly excited about the future of this program under Mike, and we look forward to the leadership that you're bringing to the table. We know that there's momentum as already established here by Tony.
We just look forward to the years ahead and to the memories that you're bound to make with your student athletes on the football field. So we wish you the best of luck, and I think all these coaches here can say the same thing. We'll be right behind you. So once again, I'll keep this brief, but here's our call to action for all of you. I think everyone can look in the mirror here tonight, and there's leadership. We're all here for a reason, and that's to get involved. We all have special attributes that we can bring to the table, but get involved. We need you. We need your energy, your voice throughout the community, and your support, whether it's monetary or just helping out, putting hours in with us whenever you can assist, helping to open doors for others to talk through, volunteering, serving on a committee. Help us connect with various alumni, local businesses, community members, just general partners. Spread the word about what you heard here tonight and some of the valuable lessons that were taught and talked about here tonight. And yes, we're open. If you want to open up your wallet to us, we'll certainly take funds to help assist not only now, but well into the future. Gus didn't really talk about this, but this is an endowment that's going to continue to roll forward. So not only is it here and now, but it's going to continue to roll into the future. And as those funds continue to get bigger and bigger, we'll have more funds to hand out to various programs. So if you're able to, I would ask you to please consider making a gift, a tax donation that's deductible to the Team Rapids endowment. We can do this a number of different ways. Some of you have visited our website. You can get on the Facebook site. You can call me personally. You've got options. Gus Mancuso will certainly talk to you if you're able to. Jay Bemke certainly as well. But we've already had an exponential amount of people that have spoken to us, show their interest. We look forward to continuing to foster that, and hopefully we can raise more funds, help more kids, and just help the general cause as we talked about here tonight. So with that being said, I think we'll wrap this up here pretty quick. We do have some giveaways that we'd like to provide you with the opportunity. So I think everyone was given a ticket when they came in here tonight, and we're going to do some drawings for those. Once again, appreciation to those who donated the gifts here tonight. So with that being said, I think first of all, we'd like to give away the helmets that are on some of the tables here. And with that being said, Vince, where you at? No, right there. So what?
Carefully now. This is a good one.
This is a good one here now. So Vince, what's your birthday?
7/2/93.
All right, so we got a birthday coming up.
July 2nd.
All right. Could have been a baby or a firecracker, but a couple days early, I was a couple days on the other side. So I've had July 6th. So we're looking for I'm not going to win at our table, just for the record, but we're looking for the person at each table that has the birthday closest to July 2nd. Whoever has that given birthday has the helmet to take home with the rat.